Welcome to this week's video lecture on how businesses use GIS. When you look up GIS applications, you find a lot of references to land use and environmental projects. These are important and valid applications for GIS and are what GIS were originally designed for. It didn't take long before businesses started to realize that they too could make good use of spatial analysis. This is one of the first GIS maps made by a business and for humanitarian purposes. Dr. John Snow was a doctor who worked and lived in the Soho section of London. He held the unpopular belief that cholera was spread by contaminated water. When an outbreak began in 1854, he mapped new cases as they occurred and was able to show that clusters of the new cases were centered around the Broad Street pump, which was the source of water for an area of several blocks. The handle to the pump was removed, and the cholera outbreak in Soho came to an end. Here is a map that was made just a few years ago that tracked the spread of H1N1. If you're a medical device company, this could be a very helpful map both to influence implementation for this threat and to plan for future threats. Today, medical industries commonly use GIS for sales territory management, but so do many other industries. This might be a high-level territory map for regional managers of a medical device company or a pharmaceutical company. They balance sales territories so that each manager and rep have equal potential and a manageable workload. As I mentioned, this might be a high-level map. This might be the more detailed breakdown of territories at the field rep level. Each color represents a different territory. Each rep would have roughly the same workload and a reasonable distance to cover. For example, each rep might have roughly 100 accounts and would not have to travel more than an hour from their field office. The Community Reinvestment Act requires banks to lend to customers in the area where their offices are located. So, for example, a bank whose offices are in the Bronx cannot have all of their loans in Midtown Manhattan. They can have some loans in Manhattan, but they must also have a reasonable number in the Bronx to serve their community. Financial consultants can use a GIS to map loans and reveal areas of interest. Retailers often use GIS to determine the location for their new sites that will provide the most potential. They use demographic and market segmentation data to find their target markets. Then they use traffic data to determine whether their customers will find them easily, data about their current customer base to find out how far customers are willing to travel to get to their stores. In this example, a coffee shop is examining the area around a potential store for a feasibility study. Retailers also do analysis of existing stores to determine where their customer bases are and to find out a bit about where people are coming from, what kind of people are coming, and where they can find more people like their current customers so that they can market to them. That's a short introduction to how businesses use GIS. I look forward to delving into each of these topics a bit more during our class.